Hey everyone, this is Dr. Roy Gonig with the Milestone team, and today we're going to talk about carb loading and why do long distance runners, ultra marathoners, and endurance athletes actually need carb loading. Well, the idea is basically that our body needs energy in order for it to run, in order for it to work properly. This energy can come from all sorts of sources. The easiest way for our body to use energy is through the sugars, through the carbohydrates. And so what we want to do is make sure that the body has enough glycogen storage, which is created by carbs that are consumed. So, do long distance runners need carb loading before a race, before an ultra marathon? The answer is yes. There are all sorts of arguments about this. Well, if I'm running and I'm running a 100-miler, well, I'm going to be depleted out of glycogen anyway, so why should I do this? So science shows that basically if we're running a rather short distance, it's a 42K, right, a marathon, probably the body will be able to use the glycogen properly and to actually have enough glycogen storage for the run, the whole run itself. When we go into ultra marathons, when we go into longer distances of running and physical activity, the body will probably deplete the amount of glycogen in the body. Glycogen, by the way, is that energy that our body stores from carbs and is the bioavailable energy that the body uses when we are physically active and we need the energy source. So, how do we use this energy? How do we consume it? Well, the answer is that the body does need the carbs from high quality sources. The high quality sources are going to be high quality fiber foods such as whole rice, quinoa, whole wheat pasta, and from the grains and from complex veggies such as yams and zucchini and carrot, etc. Beetroot is also a good source as well. Well, carb loading, very important to be done, but you cannot load the body with carbs and get enough glycogen just by eating the day before the race a big amount of carbs. So this is something that we need to work on and do it on a regular basis, or not on a regular basis so much as preparing for the race, and this should be done a few days before the race. So what are the amounts that we should eat of carbs? Well, usually ultra marathoners, long distance runners eat a lot of carbs anyways because they need it for the day-to-day practice. So adding the amount of about 10 to 12 grams per kilo is going to be enough for the body to create enough of glycogen storage for the race. But this needs to be done a few days before the race. So I would say that 3 to 4 days before the race, start loading up an excess amount of carbs. Of course, we want to make sure that we're not adding more calories, but we're actually changing some of the protein and some of the fats towards more carbs. Okay? Now, it's very good that 2 days before the race, the body will rest. So basically, we will not use those carbs during this time, and we'll actually store more carbs in order to get a nice glycogen storage in the body and have bioavailable energy for the run. So if we do that and we add those 10 to 12 grams more per kilo of carbohydrates towards the run 3 to 4 days before, and if not 3 to 4 days, the minimum is 2 days before, we will actually add 3% more energy of glycogen, bioavailable energy in our body. That doesn't sound like much, right? But the fact is that when we do this, we are actually cutting off quite a lot of the amount of time we'll need to run because the body will have enough energy to sustain the run properly. So, if we're looking at about 5 hours of run, this will cut about 11 minutes off the run. Now that's pretty incredible, right? Especially if you're racing and you're racing against time. So if we're looking at a 20-hour race, we're looking at about 44 minutes less off the run. Now this is pretty incredible, and this again comes from the assessment that we do, but this is not a proven science yet. It's just understanding for what we see from the other runners, that basically when you have a nice glycogen storage and you load up carbs before a run, you see better results. So this is important. Please try it out. Another amazing fact is the better your stamina is, the better and fit you are, the better the body knows how to use the carbs less during the race. And the body can actually turn to fat as another source of energy, keto energy, that can be available for the body. And that is, again, the fitter you are, the better your body will know how to use this energy, and it will lose less carbs and less glycogen storage during the race. That's pretty amazing. So where should we get the food from? What kind of quality food should we get? What kind of carbs should we get? It should always be good quality complex carbohydrates. Okay, so often people go for the pasta feast the night before the run. Well, if you like pasta and it works for your tummy, that's great. I'm not such a big fan of that white wheat, but if it works for you, that's great. You can go for a whole wheat pasta or a pasta that's made out of quinoa, whole rice, etc. But the idea is eventually to see what fits best for you. So one, I do not recommend you trying new foods the day before or 2 days before the run. You want to see that these are foods that your body knows how to work with. You want to have pasta the night before the run, that's okay, but this cannot be the only carb loading you're doing. It should be something gradual that you've been doing for the few days before. My recommendations: quinoa, whole rice, whole wheat pasta, those could work. Yams, beetroot, carrots, zucchini. So you're getting quite a lot of fiber. But again, as I said before, if you're not used to having a lot of fiber, you want to make sure that your body works with that well, because you don't want to find yourself in an awkward situation in the run where your belly just doesn't feel right. Okay, that's very important. Another thing that we want to know is that before the run itself, you want to make sure that you're not coming heavy to the run. So you want to make sure that you're having some sort of a meal that's going to be between 2 to 4 hours before the run. Find out for yourself what works for you best. I see that for me, before a long run, 2 hours before works great. And usually before the run itself, if it's not too long, I will take a few nuts, a few fruits, but that is just to get some energy, very available, fast energy available. But for the run itself, when we're running long distance runs, you want to make sure that 2 to 4 hours before you have a nice meal. It could be porridge, it could be oatmeal, and it also can be just a regular meal of eggs and vegetables and some whole wheat bread. But you got to see that it's something that works for you. Okay, that's very important. One more thing. People often ask me about the keto diet. So often we'll see that, well, does keto work for everybody? The answer is no. And does everybody have to do carb loading? That is also not true for everybody. Some of the runners find that they can run on keto energy. That means that their energy does not come from carbs, it comes from fat, and that's okay. With most of my patients, most of the people that I see training for ultramarathons usually need the carbs, and when it's so, I recommend these things. So I hope this information was effective for you. I hope that you find this information good for you, and please, if you like our videos, share it with your friends, press the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. And we have awesome videos about branched chain amino acids, about fasting, and about resting and recovery. I'm Dr. Roy Gonick. We'll see you in our next video.